I said, empty your mind.
Should individuals openly carry a firearm to a peaceful protest? That's the question of the day. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I didn't get a video up yesterday. I filmed a Kung Fu video, made sure everything was tight. Actually, I had to film it a few times. And then when I got to the editing bay, I realized the sound wasn't working. And it was just too late for me to film another video. But I will be getting a Kung Fu lesson up for tomorrow. So stay tuned for tomorrow's Wing Chun lesson. Today is a little bit off topic. I'm not looking to get into any political debate or discussion here. It's more of a safety issue. And my question is, what do you think about open carrying a rifle or a handgun or a firearm to a peaceful protest? I want to get your thoughts, your feedback on that. So please leave me a comment down below, and I'd love to discuss this more with you. Now, as you know, there's been a lot of protests going on across the country. And more are you seeing people armed in these protests, openly carrying weapons. Now, I will say I am all for our amendments, our rights. The First Amendment right, the right to freedom of speech, the right to protest peaceably. Second Amendment right, the right to bear arms. I do respect our rights, and I don't want to take those away from anybody. These are just my thoughts and my opinions on the matter here. So even though we have the right to bear arms, is it right to carry a weapon to a peaceful protest? Is that the right thing to do? Even though it's your right, is it the right thing to do? Now, I'm not sure if you're aware, but in 31 of the states in the United States, you can openly carry a handgun without a permit or a license. So in numerous states, you are legally allowed to openly carry weapons. And you don't even need a permit or a license. Now, here's where I'm getting to the permit and the license, and I do kind of think the permits are kind of important because you have to undergo some training before you obtain a handgun. And I believe this training is absolutely crucial. It's a very minimal amount of training, but I think people need more training, but at least they're getting some training. So if you've ever taken a handgun course, a rifle course, a handgun safety course, you understand there's a lot of things you need to take in consideration. Every instructor that teaches these handgun courses or rifle courses, I'm sure can tell you that they have to tell somebody more than one time, don't point the muzzle at anybody. Stop pointing the muzzle at somebody. Put the muzzle down. Put the muzzle away. Get your finger off the trigger. Get your finger off the trigger. These things you need to rehear. You need to train. You need training, understanding, practice of this. And a lot of people I hear, oh, I'm just going to get a shotgun, loaded shotgun, and leave it behind my door. If anybody comes in, they'll be in trouble. Well, what if you're out with your family and somebody breaks into your house and now you come home and they have your loaded shotgun and they use it on you? What if one of your children finds this loaded shotgun? So there's a lot of safety measures when it comes to handgun storage, handgun practice. There's a lot of safety issues that come into place. Now, if you're bringing a handgun into a crowd, especially if you have zero to no training, it's just a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. So is it your right? Yes. Is it the right thing to do? Honestly, I don't think so. I think too many things can go south. And we've seen a lot of this happen recently. I'll name two examples. One, somebody just shot a peaceful protester, just shot another peaceful protester by accident. Probably had his finger on the trigger, clearly had the muzzle pointed in the wrong direction. And you know, you're at these protests, your emotions are flying and adrenaline's pumping, and it doesn't take much to set off that trigger. That's why your finger shouldn't be on your trigger and the muzzle needs to be pointed away from people down. So it takes a little bit of practice. It takes some training. It's not really rocket science, but it takes some practice because you're used to, you know, you're talking, you got your finger on the trigger, you know, motions fly. It doesn't take much. That adrenaline's pumping. That it just doesn't take much. You can accidentally fire your gun with adrenaline flowing through your body pretty easily. A lot easier than you think. So it's a recipe for disaster. Accidents can happen, and we've seen a lot of these accidents happen. Not only is there all these kind of handgun or rifle etiquette, you know, keep the muzzle awareness, finger off the trigger. Have you trained any sort of handgun retention or rifle retention? If you're in a large crowd with your weapon open, you should know how to control that weapon, keep it safe. What if somebody reaches for your weapon? Are you able to secure that weapon? I've taught numerous law enforcement, military, Secret Service individuals handgun retention tactics. And it's a very important thing to know and understand, especially if you're going to be in a crowd of a lot of people. You know, have you ever been to a grocery store and you've seen a police officer and they're reaching up to the top shelf to grab something with their firearm on this side here? That's wrong. Your hand needs to be down over your firearm and you're grabbing with this side. You have to keep that firearm protected. And then if somebody goes for it, you need to know how to retain your weapon and keep control of your weapon so nobody takes that from you and uses it against you. These are things I guarantee 99.9% of the people out there, I'm just throwing out a number, carrying weapons at these protests have not trained, even thought about. And the people around them aren't really thinking about things either. Like you see a guy with a rifle, a handgun, are you realizing you could be in a crossfire? You, your family, your loved ones, whoever you're there with, are potentially in danger. You're in a dangerous situation. It's something to consider. When you go to these protests and you see people carrying firearms, you have to understand they're not well trained carrying that firearm. Accidents can happen and you could be, you know, an innocent bystander. So you really do need to pay attention. That's why I'm bringing this up. I know a lot of people are going to these events. And once again, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying you really need to consider your safety and the safety of people around you. Now, recently in Austin, Texas, an individual was carrying an AK-47. I've heard a few sides of the story here, but one of them goes, you know, and you can look this up. It's on Google. And essentially a car had turned down the street. And we've seen this happen numerous times where a car makes a wrong turn, whether it's intentional or unintentional. They're turning down the street. They get swarmed by a crowd. People are banging on the car. They're screaming at the person, and they're trying to yank the person out of the car. Or, you know, and you know, if you're that person in that car, can you imagine how you feel? Your car gets swarmed. Everybody's banging and yelling, acting like you have created all the trouble in the world, threatening you. It's a horrible situation. Your adrenaline's flying. Your emotions are flying. Fear is getting sparked. It's not a good situation to be in. If you've ever been in a riot, it's not a comfortable situation to be in. Now, here's the thing. So the guy with the AK-47, the peaceful protester or the protester at this event, saw this car, you know, come in. Everybody swarmed the car. He ran over. He pointed his AK-47 at the driver. Some stories you hear, he shot at the car, but I'm just going to say he pointed it at the driver. The driver pulled out his gun and shot him and killed him. Now, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. That's why I'm bringing these things up, because I really don't want to see anybody get hurt. But if you brought your assault rifle a handgun to a protest, and somebody is doing something that you don't agree with, you don't like, they're driving on the street, even though that's what streets are for, and you want them to stop and follow your directions, you're not the law. It's not up to you to say, don't do that. And it's definitely not right for you to run up to them and pull out and point your gun at them. And look what happened. The guy got shot. If you approach that car with your firearm, now you're threatening that person. Right now, that person is being threatened. They have the right to pull out their gun and shoot you. It's not like the driver got out of the car, ran up to the guy with the assault rifle and shot him. It was the other way around. So you got to remember, if you're carrying one of these weapons, what they're for. They're for when your life is in danger, when you're being threatened, not for you to go put yourself in a position and then all of a sudden act like you're the law and then, you know, suffer the consequences. So I'm just throwing this out there that I think people personally shouldn't be carrying assault rifles and weapons openly, untrained at any kind of protest, any kind of large gathering. If you're going to war, you're going to war. That's one thing. But you're going to a peaceful protest. So why are you arming yourself like you're going for war? I'm just asking. I'm curious. Once again, I want your thoughts, your feedback. Leave them in the comment section down below. And I just want everybody to be safe out there. So if you're the type of person to bring the weapons to these protests, think again. Do you really want to kill somebody? What's your intentions? Are you trying to intimidate people, show off? Are you have insecurities? What is it? Are you really threatened for your safety and you feel like you have to be armed? Are you just simply exercising your Second Amendment right? Why are you doing that, right? And if you're going to these protests and there's people around you that are fully armed, you have to understand that your life is now in danger too. You put yourself in a situation where you could potentially be an innocent bystander. So I just want everybody to think about that. Stay safe, be well, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Once again, leave me your thoughts and feedback in the comment section down below. Everybody take care and have a great evening.